I'd like to bring the May 8th, 2003 Planning and Zoning meeting to order. Would everybody please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Posenel?
Here.
Commissioner Selberg?
Here.
Commissioner Buck?
Here.
Commissioner Zarmi?
Here.
Commissioner Walker?
Here.
Commissioner Coletta?
Here.
Commissioner Jones?
Here.
Commissioner Simons?
Present.
Commissioner Gordon?
Here.
Chairman Flouché?
Here.
Thank you. You have a quorum.
Thank you. A couple of announcements. Anyone who has not yet signed in, please do so at the table located in the lobby. Should anyone wish to speak, please complete the request form, which is also located in the lobby table next to the sign-up sheet. A request to speak form must be completed for each item you would like to speak on, including sub-items. Please note that there are stairs on the right, left, and center aisle, and we ask that you use caution when using the stairs. There's also a ramp located at the audience's left. If anyone has written comments, exhibits, petitions, photos, or letters they intend to present at today's meeting, please have 17 copies and give them to the staff member located in the back of the auditorium. She has her hand up. If you do not have 17 copies, you may use the table with the overhead camera next to the podium to present your documents. If you want your documents to go on record, you must hand them over to the clerk after your presentation with the agenda item clearly marked on the document. Members of the public cannot speak to the staff members that are sitting at the table with the microphone in the front during the meeting. If you have any questions, please talk to the staff member located in the back of the auditorium who will meet you in the lobby to discuss. Staff members are up here in front. A timer will be activated and all speakers will be limited to 2 minutes to make their presentations and statements. Everyone, please turn off your cell phones, pagers, and or place them on vibrate during the meeting. If you must receive a phone call, please leave the meeting area and go outside to have your conversation. We ask the audience to refrain from talking to anyone during the presentations and discussions. Today, the Planning and Zoning Commission will hear public testimony and then forward the recommendation to the Board of Supervisors. The items with recommendations by the Commission will be heard by the Board of Supervisors on Monday, June 3rd at 9:30 a.m. in the same location, with the exception of any continued items. Everyone attending the meeting is asked to remember that the administrative campus and building are tobacco-free areas, which means no smoking is allowed curb to curb. Also, only bottled water is allowed in the auditorium. No food, soda, coffee, etc. is allowed. If there's any items remaining on the agenda, the Commission will break for lunch at 1 p.m. Approval of last month's minutes. Has everybody had a chance to review them? Any questions or comments? Yes.
Motion to approve the April 10th, 2013 meeting minutes.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the last month's minutes. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 1A.
Item 1A is an evaluation of a request for an amendment to the Mohave County General Plan and the Virgin River Communities Area Plan from UDA NC, Urban Development Area Neighborhood Commercial, to UDA GC, Urban Development General Commercial, and allow development of a truck stop and amend exhibits 6.4 and 6.5 of the general plan to match for assessor's parcel number 402-33103 in the Desert Springs vicinity. We do have a request to continue this item from the applicant. There was a petition that came in a few days ago objecting, and the applicant would like to visit with the neighboring property owners. Staff would support that continuance, and the applicant is in the audience today.
Okay, thank you, John. Would the applicant like to address the commission before we're, okay, if not, any discussion? I'll entertain a motion.
I'll entertain, or I'll make the motion to do a continuance for 60 days.
Second.
We have a motion to continue this item for 60 days. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. 1A, or 1B rather.
Item 1B is an evaluation of request for rezone of assessor's parcel number 402-33103 from AR agricultural residential 1 acre minimum lot size to C2H general commercial highway frontage to allow development of a truck stop in the Desert Springs vicinity. This is a companion to the previous item, and staff would recommend continuance in conjunction with the previous item. Thank you.
Okay, the applicant is present. Does the applicant wish to address the commission? We have no speakers on the item. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion to do a continuance for 60 days.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to continue item 1B. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Item 2.
Item 2 is an evaluation of request for a rezone of the southerly 115 feet of assessor's parcel number 226-08001 from an AR agricultural residential 1 acre minimum lot size zone to an RO30M single-family residential manufactured homes prohibited 30,000 square foot minimum lot size zone to allow creation of 2 residential parcels in the Fort Mohave vicinity. Staff recommends approval as indicated in the staff report. There is one objection to this item. Thank you.
Is the applicant present? We have no speakers on the item. Any discussion with the commission? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve this issue.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve item 2. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 3.
Item 3 is an evaluation of request for a rezone of assessor's parcel number 306-51008C from an AR9A agricultural residential 9 acre minimum lot size zone to an AR5A agricultural residential 5 acre minimum lot size zone to allow creation of 2 residential parcels in the Golden Valley vicinity. Staff recommends approval as indicated in the staff report. Thank you.
Is the applicant present for item 3? Would you like to address the commission? Okay. There are no speakers on the item. Any questions or comments from the commission?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Yes.
Mr. Montgomery, there's a letter in here that you state that there's only one water allocation for the parcel and any subsequent parcels are not eligible. So is that one allocation enough for both the parcels, or will that other new parcel have to water haul? Because it's in part of the improvement district, so.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Bosnell, I think I'd defer that one to someone from Public Works.
Yes, I'm Greg Vanderveer. One parcel would have to be identified, and then the other one would have to be identified as a water haul.
Okay, thank you.
I've got a question. What about doing let me word this right.
Split.
Split the meter off and add another sub-meter, like you would add maybe an irrigation meter or something like that? Is that something that's possible for this?
I don't believe it is. No, sir.
Mr. Hunt?
Mr. Chairman, if I may add to it, I have a little history on the Golden Valley. district from Public Works. And basically, what it says that there's just 1 meter, but they can use that meter. They can make an agreement and draw water from that meter, but there's just 1 meter. That's all it means. It doesn't have to be a water haul really for the other parcel, but there's just 1 meter. That's all they're gonna get.
So they would need to do a shared water agreement between the two of them.
That will be up to them. They can certainly do that. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Which actually, just getting another meter on there is the way to solve that. Is the applicant, oh, we went through that, didn't we? Yes. Okay, any additional discussion? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve per staff recommendation.
I'll second.
We have a motion and second for item number 3. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 4.
Item 4 is an evaluation of request to grant an extension to determine compliance with the schedule for development or to rescind and cause property to revert from AR 1.5A, agricultural residential 1 1/2 acre minimum lot size, to the previous zone of AR 10A, agricultural residential 10 acre minimum lot size, for failure to meet conditions of approval as specified in BOS Resolution 2012-31, which approved the rezone of assessor's parcel number 306-24024C in the Golden Valley vicinity. Staff recommends the BOS Resolution 2012-031 be rescinded and zoning revert the previous zone of a non-conforming AR 10A, agricultural residential 10 acre minimum lot size. I have not heard anything from the property owners on this.
Okay. Any discussion? The applicant is basically the county. Any questions or comments of the commission? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion to rescind item number 4. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Yes.
You're not rescinding number 4, you're rescinding the resolution.
Right. Item number 4.
Okay, but you're not rescinding item number 4, you're rescinding the resolution.
That is correct, which is item number 4 on the agenda.
Understand?
Okay. Any additional questions or comments? Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Thank you. Item number 5.
Item 5 is an evaluation of a request for a rezone of assessor's parcel number 336-09487 from a C2 general commercial zone to C2H general commercial highway frontage zone to allow park and ride bus service in the Meadview vicinity. This item was continued by the commission for 60 days and is back before you today. We're supposed to have a meeting with the objecting property owners. There was a meeting held with the Dolan Springs Chamber of Commerce, and that was a fairly uneventful meeting. Commissioner Posinel was also there at that meeting. To my knowledge, they have not actually had a meeting with property owners yet. I'm not sure if anyone is here today from the applicant to speak to this, but I haven't heard anything from them since the meeting at Dolan Springs.
And when was that meeting, John? What's the date?
That was on April 16th.
Okay.
Applicants.
Is the applicant present? Okay, would you like to address the commission? Kind of fill us in? Please state your name.
My name's Terry Kirkham. I'm General Manager of Grand Canyon West. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commission. Kind of an unusual situation. We did not hold those meetings because our volume has increased so dramatically, so quickly that it made the Meadview site inappropriate for the park and ride. So I'm here to withdraw that application for the Meadview site. we're pursuing and following through with the balance of the process at the Dolan Springs location.
Have you given this information to staff?
No, not yet. We just employed the designers to do the plot plans last week, so as soon as we have that done, we'll be submitting an application for that location.
Okay, so as of today, you want to rescind your application on this
On the Meadview
particular
location.
parcel item?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's easy. I would get with staff after the meeting, and I guess on this particular item, I'll entertain a motion or discussion. We have no more speakers on the item.
I'll make the motion to, so I guess at this point, to deny the application for this.
Resend.
That's probably where I would go with it,
Yeah,
because
so
he
I'll make
doesn't
a
want it.
motion to deny the application for this parcel.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second on item number 5 to deny the application. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item number 6.
Item 6 is an evaluation of a request to grant an extension to determine compliance with the schedule for development or to rescind and cause property to revert from C2 General Commercial and C2H General Commercial Highway frontage to the previous zone of A General for failure to meet the conditions of approval as specified in BOS Resolution numbers 2010-041 and 2011-058, which approved the rezone and extension of time for rezone of assessors parcel numbers 317-49-029 and 317-49-054 through 056 in the White Hills vicinity. This one will look a little unusual to what we have been doing in the past, but as we were looking at this one, the A zone does allow some commercial uses, and so a rescission in this case, there's some differences, but not a great deal. The property is right at the White Hills Road and Highway 95 intersection, so it has access. Staff is recommending that the schedule for development be amended by deleting condition number 6, which will basically take the time frame off of it, and when they're ready to develop, they'll come in with their site plans. That's the staff recommendation, is to delete condition 6. Thank you.
Find number 6 here on my thing here. Okay. Is the applicant present? No, sorry. Any questions or comments from the commission to staff? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion to approve per staff recommendation, deleting item 6 only. Second.
We have a motion to approve per staff recommendations. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Item number 7.
Item 7 is an evaluation of a request to grant an extension to determine compliance with the schedule for development or rescind and cause property to revert from C2 General Commercial to the previous zone of AR 36A Agricultural Residential 36-acre minimum lot size for failure to meet conditions of approval as specified in BOS Resolution 2010-024 and 2011-052, which approved the rezone and extension of time of Assessor's Parcel 326-01011 in the Dolan Springs vicinity. Staff recommends the BOS resolution numbers 2010-42 and 2011-52 be rescinded and that zoning revert to AR 36A, agricultural residential 36-acre minimum lot size. This one is a bit different from the previous one in that there's a substantial difference between the zonings, and the access to this parcel isn't as readily there. It's not clear that this property is going to develop commercially in the near future. So, thank you.
Okay. County is the applicant. John? There are no speakers on this item. Any questions or comments from the commission? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the,
to approve item 7.
second.
We have a motion and a second to approve item number 7. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 8.
Item 8 is an evaluation of request for a zoning use permit on Assessor's Parcel 324-10253 for a secondary residence in an AR, agricultural residential, 1 acre minimum lot size zone in the Kingman vicinity. Staff recommends approval of the zoning use permit as indicated in the staff report. Thank you.
County is the applicant. Is the applicant present? Would you like to address the commission?
Bruce Bear is the contractor. He's the owner of the property.
What is your name, sir?
My name is Robert Bear.
Okay.
My wife, LaVon Bear. Because we're at the age we are, 85 and 81, Bruce decided he would like to build a home on the property and care for us instead of going to a nursing home. I'm sorry he's not here. He said it was going to be one of the later items on the agenda. We came down just in case. And we feel it's a real honor and a pleasure that he would and Kathy would take care of us as we get where we needed help.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
can I ask a question?
Sure, go right ahead.
I'm looking at your GIS map that shows the area.
Can you speak
you
a
have-
lot? But we both got hearing aids.
Okay. There are some existing buildings there. Could you explain to us what are those buildings? Do you already have more than one residence there, or what is going on there?
Bruce, and I'm not sure what year it was, built a huge garage, a large garage, and he took, I'm guessing, probably a fourth of the garage or a third of the garage for living quarters while he was going to build the house that he's planning to build as of approval. And they have a small apartment in there. That's where we'd rather be, but they want us to be in the house till our demise. But this is a large garage.
Thank you. I have a question for the staff. John, have you looked at the property? It seems like there are some multiple buildings there, and also one thing I've noticed is that the proximity to the property line. I mean, are these the old buildings that there was no permit pulled for it, or what is going on?
Chairman Fluchet and Commissioner Azarmi, I have actually been out to this property. The other buildings that you see there are basically storage buildings. I believe that the grid that shows the parcels may be offset slightly. As far as I know, they do have building permits, and they do, as far as I know, meet the setbacks. The property is actually a very nice-looking property.
Okay, but I mean, if you look at the entrance, I mean, it seems like, they're not using the Adams Road, or at least, that doesn't show the traffic. It goes through the other property, 270, APN, 270. It seems that, they're using that as their main, and they're using the other street. Is that what you saw out there too?
There is actually apparently an access through that other parcel. However, when I was out there, I actually entered the property off of Adams Street. There is a gate in there and a driveway
So you
coming off
entered
of
from the Adams, or
Yes.
did you, from Adams?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
It
So
just
you're-
doesn't show on this GIS at the time this image was taken.
So you're saying that, this was permitted, all these buildings were permitted, and the setbacks were respected?
As far as I know, yes.
Okay.
I'm
Yes,
I'm
Crystal?
also familiar with the parcel out there that in question, where the buildings are sitting, the rate of pathway that they do, and they kind of do use a neighbor's yard too, because they have ATVs, you know, the one gentleman. And a lot of the buildings are, like, some of them are, one's a sea container, so they're portable.
Uh-huh.
So which are not permitted, which if that helps any, they're portable. The property is very nicely set up and can accommodate what they're wishing to do without hindering or impinging on any of the areas around them.
Thank you.
These were all built within, what is it, 120 square feet?
Thank you.
I believe what he's getting at is that if they're less than 120 square feet, they don't need a building permit.
Oh,
So
okay, all right.
There's a couple of like the small tin, like ATV storage
Okay.
sheds that are also, they can move them around if they
Right,
needed
okay.
to.
They're portable.
And what they're used for is like cement tools, nails, construction equipment, lifts, and
No, that's fine.
and
that's-
materials.
That's fine. Any additional questions of the speaker? Hello, son.
Thank you.
Your dad did a great job.
Yes,
You're fine.
he's got it all taken care of. But anyway, go ahead.
You owe
State
him-
your name.
You owe him a lunch.
Bruce Bear.
I think we've already got all our questions answered. We appreciate you coming, though.
Okay, thank you.
Any additional questions of anybody? Entertain a motion, then.
I'll make a motion to approve, reference to staff recommendations.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve item number 8. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 9.
Item 9 is a discussion of a request to amend the Mohave County zoning ordinance, Section 9 definitions, to eliminate the limitation on duration of a rental or lease. This is a cleanup of an issue in our ordinance. There's currently a thing in there that says that in manufactured home parts, you can't have a lease exceeding 364 days. That apparently used to be something that came out of state law, but the state law has been changed, and so it's no longer necessary, and it actually doesn't really line up with what state law allows, so we would.
So what we're doing, John, is really just bringing this in conformity with the state law?
Correct.
Okay. Everybody had a chance to review that?
Yeah. Mr. Chairman,
Yes. We're just having discussion today anyway, right?
Correct. This is a discussion
I
item.
have a question for Director Hunt. I noticed that, in the past, few months or so, we are receiving one item at a time. Are you planning to have any review done on the ordinance and put together some sort of a review? Because there are some areas that, needs to be addressed. I know that we talked about this a few months ago.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Azarmi, if the commission wishes us to go through a review process, we will certainly do that. And right now, we're trying to correct obvious mistakes or oversights that we need to correct time to time, but we can certainly program a general review.
What do you think? Do you think it's needed or not?
Well, we certainly can argue that it's needed. We have several programs that we're doing right now, and right now we're doing reviewing all our regulations and trying to facilitate our permitting process. That's our top priority, and then we can certainly put that on our schedule and program it in the future.
Yeah, because what I'm saying is that, we're going to getting one item at a time here and there and all that, but if we did, just like what we did last time with SRC, I think that, maybe that would have a, better end result, because I assume it's due, and I know some of the, staff, they have some good recommendations that they can implement there, as well as, outside help, commission and all that, so that would be great. Thank you.
We have 2 speakers on the item. Charles Post. Would you like to address the commission, please?
Yes, sir.
Please state your name.
Charles Post. I'd like for you just to repeat what you said about the discussion. I think you said being state ordinances are different than yours, that you're going to drop it or something?
Well, what the county does is follows state law ordinances that the state puts out, and what we're doing is trying to make this particular definition come in compliance with the state law.
And that would be,
Well, what they're doing is they're taking the sentence out that says spaces shall not be rented or leased for a period exceeding 364 days in duration. That is now deleted, so there's no time limit.
it has been deleted.
Well, it will be when we get done.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Robin Cinder? All right, thank you very much. Okay, well, any additional discussion for today by any of the commissioners, staff, anybody? All right, item number 10.
Item 10 is a discussion regarding a request to amend the Mohave County zoning ordinance regarding permit requirements in section 27H2E1, general provisions, fences, hedges, and similar structures to provide for issuance of zoning permits. This is an issue that has come up regarding fences in the front yard. When they go over 4 feet in height, we have a provision in the ordinance that with sign off from the county engineer that the design does not cause, site problems and that sort of thing. They can exceed that 4 feet. But the current provision says that a building permit will be obtained prior to construction. Well, the building division says, well, if it's not over 6 feet, we don't issue a building permit. So this would allow us to issue basically an over-counter zoning permit instead of a building permit, and then hopefully we can get out of this catch-22 that people sometimes get into when they can't get a sign-off from the county engineer because there's not a permit in the system. So again, it's a cleanup piece.
This is,
Why, okay, let me just patient with me for a minute. Why, I mean, if a fence, regardless of what the construction of the fence is, chain link, block, whatever, if it's under 6 feet, why do we need a zoning permit? Or,
Because
I'm just confused, because most of the time you don't.
We'll let someone else handle it.
Our issue is not with all fences, but just those fences that are within the front yard setbacks. Right. And the building, right now, the ordinance says a building permit would be obtained for any fence or wall that is over 4 feet and in those front yard setbacks. If the fence is over six feet or more, there's not an issue because then it falls under the building code and it very clearly needs a permit. However, if the fence is between 4 feet and 6 feet, the issue that we run into is that it needs the county engineer's sign off or the Public Works Department to sign off on it. Their trigger is our permit. So there is no way to get somebody from Public Works to sign off on whether or not that fence is going to create a traffic hazard unless Development Services has a permit in the pipeline. And right now, with the catch-22 that John Montgomery is talking about, are people who are going to build like a 5-foot chain link fence in their front yard. It is very difficult to get them approval from the Public Works Department because we do not have a permit in the pipeline. They respond to our permit, not the applicant's request. So, what the purpose of this is and there is no fee connected with it. It's merely a paperwork exercise. So they submit a permit application, Public Works signs off, once Public Works is signed off, we'll issue the permit, and then they also have a piece of paper to say, yes, I do have permission to build this in my front yard setback in case a neighbor complains.
I guess my point is, or my thinking, not necessarily a point, but I can understand part of this, but usually the height of a fence, if it's in the front yard, the only time it really has any kind of a safety hazard if it's a corner lot. Not necessarily a lot 5 places in from a corner or not even on a corner. I mean, there is no safety issue other than maybe they're trying to keep their dog inside their yard. I'm just wondering, and the time it takes to run through the process, is that what we're trying to eliminate? Is if it's under 6 feet, between 4 and 6 feet, we're trying to eliminate the process? I mean, from a building permit, I'm just not quite sure exactly. At the end of the day, if someone wants to put a 6-foot fence around their entire property, and they live 5 houses off of a corner. On a corner lot, I understand it, because you got setbacks on both sides of the corner. But a house that's not on a corner lot really has no safety hazards to anybody outside their property. I'm just trying to figure out why we don't maybe address part of that.
Mr. Fluchet, members of the commission, even houses internal on the block, if they put up a 6-foot fence, can actually create a sight distance issue, depending upon how the neighbors enter and exit their property. We have had that situation occur before, and how close their property line is to the actual edge of pavement. That is another factor that comes into place. Right now, the ordinance says that they must obtain a building permit, but again, if they're in that gap between the 4 feet and the 6 feet, there is no building permit to issue to them at the present time. And yes, it is creating a longer processing time for the applicant, and that is what the purpose of this is to shorten that processing time, literally from weeks to days.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Just following up on what Chairman Fluchet were discussing, you mentioned about the sight distance on the front, because I know the ordinance, and I know that in the front, you want to have 4 feet max, and then that. Isn't that the case that you always have from the property line to the edge of the road? You have, in most of the cases, you have a PUE, like about 9 feet or so in most of the recent subdivisions. And would that eliminate, the sight distance?
May I answer that, Commissioner Zarmi, that no, unfortunately, we don't have it on county roads. On many instances, we don't have enough setback. And the side distance really matters, not just at the corner lots, but it could matter 300 feet away from the corner. And we don't have the clear zone that you, I think, referring to, that would be required by a proper road design. On the older subdivisions and older roads, we don't have that 6 feet clear zone, and then depending on the speed, of course, it's more clear zone required. Many places we don't have that. These are just older subdivisions or pre-existing conditions. So that could provide a side distance issue, and that's why we would feel comfortable to leave it in there and send it to the county engineer, and where they can send out a technician and make sure that they have the side distance that don't create a traffic hazard.
So, Director Hunt, there would be a possibility in the future that we would be able to differentiate between the one that you have problem and the one that you don't have any problem, which means like in the newer subdivisions that you have minimum 9 feet public utility easement, refer to what Chairman Felicia was saying, then that can be, put into the ordinance. Because basically what we are saying is those who have the setbacks, the public utility easement from a curb and a gutter and all that they have, we are penalizing them because of other people who are having properties that they go right into the curb. Is that the case?
Well, that's what we're trying to eliminate. So if the county engineer checks on it, then we clearly can identify, and then there is no restrictions on the fence if there is no side distance problem, and that's exactly what we're trying to accomplish. And then, there is no conditions set forth, yes.
Well, I guess part of my thinking on this, Mr. Hunt, is we're talking about parcels 1 acre and larger. So a guy that's got 5 acres and wants to put a 7-foot chain link fence around his property, or even a 6-foot, is going to run into problems. No?
Well,
Chris?
Mr. Flouché, members of the commission, if I might, someone who wants to put a 7-foot fence around their property, if they set that fence back from their property line in the front yard back 20 feet.
20 feet.
Then this does not apply.
Okay.
They can fence. This issue only comes up and only applies when they're setting the fence in the front yard setback. And, we haven't, the other thing I would like to point out to the commission is on the newer subdivisions, that 8 or 9 foot easement is there in the front yard.
Mm-hmm.
However, I will point out that most homeowners do not know where the public utility easements are on their property until they contact the Development Services Department or the Public Works Department.
Okay, my whole thing is that I can see the restrictions on lots less than 1 acre more than I can see restrictions or something on lots over 1 acre. So we need to address both of them. I don't know, of course, we don't have that many lots in the county, really, compared to the number of lots that are larger than 1 acre. So not sure how that actually plays out. Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Ms. Ballard, and maybe I'm misinterpreting this, but it says the vehicle gate shall be placed at least 20 feet back, not the entire front of the fence. So technically, I mean, the way I read that, they could have the fence and then jog in 20 feet for the gate. So we want it to be the entire front, not just where the gate is at?
The way the ordinance currently reads is that if you're going to build the fence in the front yard, or if you're going to build a fence around your property, that part of the fence that's in your front yard setback, which is that first 20 feet of the front, from the front property boundary back, if you're going to build a fence in that area, that fence needs to be either 4 feet high, or you need to get the sign off from the county engineer stating that building the fence higher than that 4 feet does not create a traffic hazard.
Okay, but E3 states vehicle gates shall be placed at least 20 feet back. So maybe I'm just misunderstanding that, because it's not it's just specifying just the gate area, not the entire fence.
The entire fence is specified somewhere else in the ordinance, and it doesn't show up here because it's in an early section that we're not changing.
Okay, that's what I'm missing.
Yeah, the purpose of the gate being pulled in is so you can queue the car.
Sure,
while
yeah,
you're
I
opening the
completely
gate.
understand that.
Right.
I just-
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, but no, that other part is actually in, I think we're looking at 27H2E. I think it's in 27H. I think is where it's at, but it's in an earlier section.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Ms. Ballard, so basically, if I can come to a conclusion based on your comments, there are two things that you're concerned about. Number one, sight distance, that that they cannot see the road, and number two, property owners are not going to be respectful of the property line, and they might build into the PUE. Is that correct?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Azami, one of the difficult things with PUEs, although they're great for providing utility access to the individual lots, one of their issues are the people still own the property. They still own the dirt, and what the utility has is a right of access. And I think, first of all, many property owners do not understand that relationship that they have with the utility. And second of all, a lot of them don't understand how the utility gets to their property, it's an actual legal instrument that allows the utility to run lines on their property. And yeah, we get a lot of instances where it's not that they're not respectful, it's that they don't know.
We have one speaker, and I'd like to hear their comments if they have any. Charles, Post? Okay, thank you. Any other thoughts or questions of the commission? All right. Item number 11.
Item 11 is a discussion of a request to amend the Mohave County zoning ordinance to correct the title of Section 27X from Regulations for Energy Overlay E-Zone General Provisions to Regulations for Renewable Energy Development to more accurately describe the contents of the section and to amend Section 27X2A to clarify that the 400 square foot limitation applies only on residential properties less than 1 acre. It was one of the things that we were looking at and noticed that the 27X covers not only the E-zone, but also if something is developed under zoning use permits. And also it lays out some things for exemptions where the E-zone or the zoning use permit is not required. And so it's more broad than the title really indicates. So we would propose amending the title for that purpose. The second thing is that when we wrote this, we put in that ground-mounted or pole-mounted solar panels over 400 square feet would require a zoning use permit. And we were thinking at that time mostly about the smaller residential lots where suddenly if you had this huge mass of ground-mounted solar panels, it might not be appropriate for a small residential lot. But we've had a couple of instances where, because of the way it was written, it got applied to a commercial parcel and also to a parcel that was like, I don't remember if it was 3 or 4 or 5 acres, where it probably is not really an issue on a parcel that size. So the amendment we're proposing here would say that those ground mounts or mounted on poles may be allowed in any zone, but not to exceed 400 square feet on residential lots less than 1 acre. So it takes the commercial installations and the 1 acre and larger lots out of this provision requiring a zoning use permit.
John, do we have anything in here on the height so that it's not, sitting on somebody's roof or with a pole mounted?
Well, actually
or above the roof line? I mean, that's usually.
We don't really have anything specific about height on the ground mounts. Of course, the roof mounts, we say they have to be within the maximum building height for the zone. We don't have anything specifically about maximum height on the ground mounts, and if that's something the commission wants us to look into, we can possibly add something about that when we come back.
Well, I'm just thinking that, and I'm not trying to restrict the height because the whole thing with solar is that you don't run into shadows during the day of operation, during the days of operation. But on the same token, I don't think a pole mount should be 10 feet above the roof line either. So I'm just wondering if there isn't, maybe if they're going to go over a chimney, for example, the height of a chimney, then they would have to maybe get some kind of a zoning use permit or a really good reason for that. Maybe if I know we've got some stuff in this X zoning or renewable energy about height and the quantity and all that, but I'm just wondering if that doesn't make sense where if it has to be over the height that a chimney would be, then maybe they need to come back and tell us why it is that they need a zoning use permit to go 5 feet above that. And that would certainly be on smaller lots.
If that's the commissioner's or the commission's desire, we can certainly add something like that for the next time around.
Yeah, I mean, if that's something that everybody's may be thinking about. I mean, I'm just throwing some ideas out there, because it's gonna come up.
Well, we can certainly develop something to address that if you'd like.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
is there any of these units that they go on the roof and then they have a pole on the roof?
Well, if you, if you design your house right, you can do that. You know, the other thing is you can have you could have install a 6-inch pole alongside your house,
Oh, that's,
take it up, and at that point, but there again, you know, if you're in a residential, if you're on less than an acre lot or smaller lots or lot splits, you know, you got this pole going up 30, 25, 18 feet, whatever it is.
most of them that I've seen so far, they're using the, you know, the roof
Right.
for that purpose, you know.
Right, right, I
And they just,
understand.
you know, the square footage that they have on the roof.
Yeah. But some of these panels are, the permanent placement panels, PV panels that you put on a roof don't move or rotate. If you put a single pole, the only reason you're putting a single pole is because you want it to follow the sun. So it's usually a dual axis tracking kind of a system. So that's when you would get into a single pole and you'd want it above the height. So that's the reason why I brought that up. So I'm just saying, I think it's something to think about.
Mr. Chairman, what I was thinking is maybe it could be stated where it doesn't exceed the highest projection point of the dwelling.
That's fine. I mean,
Chairman?
yes.
The problem with that is, I mean, if you look at trees, a lot of trees exceed the height of your
Oh, I know.
roof, and placement and the way the lot and home is set up, you can't really see that, because then you have to cut your trees down to half solar.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you really have to watch what you're doing when it comes to your height restrictions and how you're placing them in there.
I fully understand that. I've been down that road where they'll let a 50-foot tree, but they won't let you build something
Yeah.
30 feet, you know? So I understand that scenario. I'm just trying to figure out if that is the case, at least they would come back to us and explain to us why, because if we don't,
Right.
then all the neighbors are gonna come in and,
Couldn't you just, I mean, if that were the case, wouldn't you be able to put in there anything over a 20-foot pole needs to be approved and permitted by county?
well, I think
That
what,
would give you a little reasoning.
I think the suggestion that was just made probably solves that problem if you stick to the highest point,
Right.
which would be, if it has a fireplace, it would be a chimney. Or otherwise it would be something else, but 20 foot would be, in most cases, be 5 or 6 feet over the roof line, because a lot of places, like Havasu, for example, not that that's outside of what we're talking about, but it's 15 feet in a lot of areas.
Right.
In some areas, it's 30. So, you know, depending upon the particular area that you're in, and maybe even the zoning that property is on, would dictate that. So that's why I'm kind of thinking what Paul said is, maybe is the.
Yeah, my point is that I think it should, to try to blend in with the structure that's built there, and not just have something, it could be, it could extend 10 feet above, and it just, to me, it wouldn't blend in with, and the neighbors might complain about it, because it's an eyesore.
But again, Mr. Chairman, based on, the experience that I have so far and research that, we did, because I was going to use that for the track, it is not feasible to, for residential, to use single poles or, individual poles like that, because the square footage is not much. In most cases, the roof line and the roof is the most feasible, although it is fixed in place. Because, then you can use that in lieu of the tile, or, you just spread it on that, the direction that you have. So in residential application, I really don't think that, it's gonna be that popular because of the cost.
I don't know. I mean, a lot of this stuff is really coming down, and you get into some of the really techie stuff with CPV, not just PV, where you've got these cells that concentrate like 4 times the amount that a regular PV would do. And then if they rotate, I mean, you're gonna generate, if you took the 400 square feet and you reduced it to 200 square feet, and you had a CPV kind of a solar cells, you're gonna generate twice as much power that you would out of all the panels you can put on a roof. And I think people are going to wake up to that over the next few years. And unless we want to keep changing things, I can see this happening on larger lots, I mean, a lot sooner, but if we're going to be talking about it, then we need to be talking about all the lots and how we're going to do that. Or they could put it at the rear of their property line. I mean, there's all kinds of ways to do this. Or maybe we say you can't attach it to it. That's why I'm saying if it's over a certain height, then they got to come back to us and explain to us exactly what they're doing, because otherwise the neighborhood's going to be coming back along with them. If something all of a sudden goes up, staff's going to get the phone calls. We're not, but.
Mr. Chairman, didn't we at one time do this with the wind solar, with the poles and the height and the regulations, to where the height could be no longer than where they were going to place it on their property, that it would not fall on anybody's house structure or cross the lines of their property?
Correct.
And that kind of resolved the entire pole and height, because wherever they put it, they were restricted to maintain the height to where it could not fall within anyone else's property or, jurisdiction or on personal things.
Well, it's like a tower.
Yeah, kind of like we did the wind
Right.
solar one, I wasn't here that long, so a year ago. But couldn't you just do that and make it very simple, that it has to meet the, height that it can endanger or affect anybody else's property? And that would limit it right but they'd have to work with their space and availability.
Does that make sense, Ms. Ballard? Or Mr. Hunt, either?
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, yeah, I think that does make sense. So if they're going to put a solar panel on a pole in their backyard, that should that thing fall over, it falls on their property. That does make sense, and we would concur. You don't want what you build on your property do damage to your neighbor's property. I also like to point out that one of the reasons we're addressing this is because when we wrote this, it was our intention to not bring most of the ground mounts to the commission. And what we have found is that we are bringing most of the ground mounts to the commission. So we're having the reverse effect of what we had intended. And that's why we're looking, we took a look at most of the ground mounts that we were getting in-house at present time. With respect to Mr. Flouchet's comment that, we're looking at a very dynamic industry and things will change. Keeping that in mind, still one of the things we were looking at is what are we getting in the house today that we're catching that we don't want to catch? And it was the commercial ground sets that are not intended for distribution. They're intended to serve a building owned by a particular business. And, in this case, it was an office building. They wanted to do ground mounts on. Their roof would not hold the roof mount panels. The other thing we caught was a single-family dwelling with property over an acre. And we thought, we're not doing what we want to do. What we want to do is have most of those kinds of things pass through just an administrative permit, not come to the commission. But, I think, maybe we'll come up with some wording to address the pole height issue, because I agree with you. I think that's something that's in our future.
Okay.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. And then on a lot of these smaller parcels, majority of them, not all of them, but a majority of them are within a platted subdivision that have CC&Rs that typically would govern, either have an architectural committee that would have to approve that,
Sure.
or, would govern that, so they'd have other recourse besides, before they even came to us, so,
Well, that is absolutely true on someplace like the refuge is probably not even going to allow that. I'm not sure what your CC&Rs say out there, but, it's pretty restrictive. You can't have palm trees, so
Right.
Why would you allow solar energy poles? So those are all challenges that we're going to have to look at as we move forward with all this renewable energy. What about wind turbines, you know? That's another thing. Yes, Michael?
One more thing, I think we should look at almost both items in terms of the fall radius, but also what Mr. Selberg was stating, because a lot of these parcels, residential-wise, are very large. And, you know, if they could put a 50-foot pole in the middle of their property and it's not gonna fall on neighboring property, are we okay with that?
Yep.
I mean, I almost kind of feel like it needs to be a combination of both, you know, no higher than or within 5 feet of the highest projection, and, you know, so such that it doesn't fall on a neighboring property. So I think we just need to be careful about that, because we have a lot of large parcels.
Yep. I still think the ones that are, if someone's going to put a pole mount, more than likely, they're not going to, well, I said this today, but next week it could change. They're not going to put just PV on it. They're going to just put a PV with non-tracking, non-access. They're going to put it on the roof. But if they're going to go for the state-of-the-art thing, then they're going to go to a pole with dual axis, or at least single axis, that's going to track the sun, and, you know, it's going to cost them a little bit more, but at the end of the day, the amount of energy that's going to produce is more than it's going to produce on the roof. So these are all good things to talk about and discuss and try to fine-tune this whole process. So, any other questions or comments? All right. Item number 12.
Item 12 is a discussion of a request to amend the Mohave County zoning ordinance, Section 25, setbacks and area requirements to provide clarification and increase maximum density of lot coverage. I suspect that there are, let's see, 3, 6, there are 7 of us sitting here, and there are 10 of you and John. Probably we could come up with 50 different ways of dealing with setbacks and area requirements. But the issue does come up, and so it's one we want to look at. Of the things that we put together, option 1 basically takes the current setbacks, and instead of the narrative that's currently in the ordinance about how you calculate maximum coverage as you go between different parcel sizes, I took that narrative and put it into a table so that maybe it's a little more understandable. That section has been confusing to a lot of people, including myself. It took me a while to try to figure out what this thing was saying. So basically, that's one proposed change, is to put this stuff in a table that somebody can just look at 2 numbers and not have to figure out what that language means. Then there are a couple of others we looked at that adjust the parcel size at which we just go by setbacks. There's a table at the end that gives a comparison of Mohave County's setbacks and area require, well, not the setbacks, the area lot coverage areas, comparing to Coconino, Yavapai, Maricopa, and Yuma counties, as well as Kingman and Bullhead City. And so you can get an idea of where our numbers are currently compared to some of those other places. And I guess I'll leave it at that, say that you know, we need to take a look and see what's reasonable, what makes sense, and if anybody has other suggestions, please let us know.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
First of all, I'd like to thank staff for working on this. This is great that you spend the time analyzing this item, because I know that we had a discussion about it, and I think it's going to be very helpful, as you said, John, to minimize the confusion of the property owners, builders, you know, contractors, outside area, you know, people who are looking at it. So I think that this is great what you've done. I looked at the comparison, the breakdowns and all that, and if I want to choose one of them, definitely I'll go with option 3, because it gives, you know, a little bit more room for, you know, more square footage, but they still have reservation for those who have, you know, 2 acre to 5 acre. I think that, you know, that number should be a little bit higher than that, although the possibility of something like that happening is slim to none. But still, I think if somebody comes in and wants to build a large house and a large garage and a whole bunch of toys or whatever on 5 acre or, you know, 20 acre, you know, we should not slow them down. And that's the only basically objection I have to the chart. Otherwise, it looks really good. It is consistent, and I think that, you know, that corrected the problem of, you know, when you had 10,000 square foot and 10,001 square foot, the breakdown that we had that, you know, was lower square footage lot had advantage to the other one. So I appreciate, you know, what you've done on this. And again, I think option 3, based on all that, would be, you know, my choice on that.
I do have a question on the square footage, just looking at option number 3, which I kind of like myself, but is the square footage, is that the inhabitant?
No, lot coverage.
Just total lot coverage, because I know that doesn't always come to play when you're talking about adding garages and
Covered patio.
covered patios, you know. I know you get down in our area and even up in your area, they're into gazebos, they're into 2,000-3,000 square foot garages, plus, you know, 2,000-3,000 square foot house. And I'm just, you know, this is probably the one that I think probably would work the best,
Yeah.
but I'm just not sure if that's actually gonna work. But anyway, I like the comparable, the table you did there. You guys did a great job.
Well, Chris wants to.
Chris, I'm sorry.
Yep, Mr. Chairman, the percentages are kind of, we came up with them kind of as a comparison of the interplay between all of the comparisons that we gave you on that sheet. And we had both more urban areas as well as more rural areas. We did try and stay at the mid to large size counties because those are the counties we're most comparable to. And I think some discussion can take place of the percentages, except for one area I would caution the commission. And I don't think that if you're looking at option 3, it will not be a problem. But some of the percentages that we're looking at in the comparison chart for our smaller parcels, 6,000, 7,000, even some 8,000 square foot parcels, if you just went like a straight 50 or 60%, that would cause problems with, quite frankly, Prop 207 and the potential for taking away people's development rights. The reason for that is because we would be actually allowing them a smaller square footage footprint for their structures than we currently do. We actually have a very generous, if you have a very small parcel, we have a very generous lot coverage. And so I think that's one of the reasons why you saw in the options that for the lots less than 10,000 square feet, or for the lots less than 8,000 square feet, we said as allowed by setbacks and off-street parking, was to kind of protect those property rights for those folks who currently had them.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
You're absolutely right, Ms. Baradakis. You addressed that very well. And I think that, you know, when you have, let's say, setbacks of 20 and 25, you already are at 55% of the property, plus the site, you know, 5 feet is going to reduce it down to whatever the number is. And as we all know, you know, in most cases, architects, they do not like to build on, you know, the setbacks. They want to create some, you know, indentation and, you know, things like that. Yeah, Paul.
Yeah, we don't want to be pushed into a box.
There you go.
Yeah.
Engineers, they like to be, you know, using the whole, you know, rectangular shape, but, you know, architects at the expense
You
of...
own an acre, you want to build an acre.
Well, architects at the expense of the owners, they like to, you know, do some nice, you know, foo-foo stuff. Sorry.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman.
We're calling it foo-foo.
Mr. Chairman, our current regulations, or where they're currently written, would allow you to not only do that, build according to the setbacks. But if you had a 6,000 square foot lot, you built to the setbacks, or you had completed your lot coverage, it still allows you to add on an open patio. You can't enclose the patio, but it still allows you, in addition to all that, an open patio, which we normally count as lot coverage. So it actually allows above that 55% or 56%, just that you get just from the setbacks.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
One other question I have, though, in terms of the lot coverage that you're talking about, when you go to the two-story buildings, how do you, is that there's no restriction there, so they can have, let's say, 8,000 square foot on a 6,000 square foot lot if they want to on a two-story with a basement, et cetera. So,
It's just the footprint.
right, the footprint that they have. Okay, very good. Now, this is beautiful.
Any other questions, comments, or ideas? Staff is patiently waiting for us to get done with this. Anything else?
Anything else? Yes. I want to thank the staff for, issuing the permit on Mohave Valley Park. The restroom, we got that done, and they expedited it, and they hand-delivered it to me today, so I just want to congratulate them on, working with us on Mohave Valley Park. And again, I like to appreciate everybody from A to Z in the Planning and Zoning Department for working with us and getting the permits. So we are officially now in business, and we can, go ahead with the Mohave Valley Park, go get one step closer. So,
Okay.
again, thank you very much.
And again, I'd like to thank staff for bringing all these ideas before us on this. And if there are no other discussion items,
Chairman Fleury,
yes?
you still have item 13, call the public.
Oh, see, it's
Who was here?
call to the,
John, could you go get somebody from the public?
call to the public. Anybody wishing to speak to the commission? Seeing no hands raised or people walking up, we'll close public hearing and entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed can leave.
I think the best suggestion is to have that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's.